Guys, Truth Waves here, going live. Um, Honestly, just wanted to go live just to, share a little bit more about myself, more about, who I am and what I represent. You know, it's a it's a struggle, life itself. Um, I'm not the best person. I'm not a perfect person. Nobody's perfect. The way that I look at life is like, man, I like to think I'm so logical. I'm straightforward. I try to be a, simple thinker, but in reality, I'm not. I'm always overthinking things. I'm always thinking about many different paths, so many different outcomes. I like to analyze things and maybe overanalyze things. I look at words and I'm thinking to myself, well, why did this person use that word? That word could be used somewhere else, or why didn't they use a different word? I study things in people, in relationships that I've had, as far as like friendships or romantically or anything. And I think that's one thing that I've learned that I need to let go. I need to let go of trying to wrap my head around everything. Um, it's been instilled in me, in the Marine Corps, as well as just myself, is to just be like, you know what, I'm gonna figure everything out. I need to help other people. I need to make them realize that, hey, like they're fucked up too, or they're messed up, you know? In all actuality, I'm messed up too, and maybe even more so, you know? And in the past, I'm saying like distant past, like I used to be very, 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 very hateful and, full of a lot of anger. And I'm still working on that. And right now, like even in myself, I know that there's a part of me that has that anger towards, people's actions, people's behavior, the way that they interact with me. I I feel like I take offense to it, and I need to learn how to control that and be like, hey, like, you know, maybe they're not, coming across that way. But it just seems that way because I've been so used to that. I've been used to people, using their words to strike against me somehow, or using their words to manipulate me in a way that it's like, well, I'm in the wrong, or there's something wrong with me. And sometimes there is stuff that's wrong with me, and I need to grow. I need to develop myself. That's the whole point of life, in my opinion, is learning and growing and developing yourself into a better individual and being there for those that are around you. And that's one of the hardest things to do, is to look at yourself and be like, all right, I need to grow. I know I need to grow, and I need to take a step further by letting things go, learning to accept things for the way that they are, learning to accept people for the way that they are. And I'm not saying accept their wrongs, accept their, their evil. Simply put, acknowledging it and moving past that. You can't control someone's actions. You can acknowledge their actions. You can learn from your mistakes. You can learn from other people's mistakes. And for me, one of my biggest struggles is trying to control situations to a degree of like magnitude of being like, oh, it needs to be this way. Everything like calculated. I feel like I've always been calculated, and when things don't go my way, my mind freaks out. I freak out myself. Like I get into a panic. I, become anxious. I become something that isn't, you know, right, that isn't good. I become someone that becomes spiteful. I become prideful. I become egotistical. Some would even say, a slight hint of narcissism in not only my words, my actions, and the way that I interact with people is that they see it as, oh, I'm trying to be above everyone. And part of me in the past, and sometimes even now is like, yeah, I have tried to be above everyone. But in that right, I try to be better. And there's times where I have been better. And right now, I'm struggling in my own mind of letting things go, being calm, being patient, even though I'm right. There's things that I do and I know that are right. And then there's things that I know that are right with other people that are true. And I can point them out and I can guide people. But sometimes I'm not meant to guide. I'm not. I'm meant to take a step back, listen, or just talk things out and not really focus in on, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. In the Marine Corps, you're taught, well, if it's wrong, hey, you need to fix it. You tell someone, hey, Lance Corporal, you need to fix yourself. Hey, Sergeant, you need to fix yourself. That's, the equivalent to it. But not all people are like that. Not the whole world isn't like that. And it's been a struggle for me to sit there and isolate myself from the Marine Corps and what I knew and how I was, and change myself into a more civilian aspect, a more forthcoming aspect, a more godly aspect in my life. And I've been struggling with that. And I want to bring out like who I am to everybody else. And that's who I am. I want to talk about things, and I love to interact with people and get people's insight, and I just I get a relief from that, to be able to tell my story and hear other people's stories and see their smiles. It gets me smiling. It gets me feeling better. And I've walked away from some of that. I've walked away from that because these past few months have been a struggle. It's been rough. It's been rough for me since I got out of the Marine Corps, and I didn't think that it would be this rough. I didn't think it would be this bad for me. I didn't think I would feel the way that I do. I really didn't. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get out of the Marine Corps, I'm gonna be fine. And a lot of things happen. I got a discharge that I didn't think I was going to get, and that's hindered my job availability since I got an OTH, which is a other than honorable discharge. And I still have to wait in order to upgrade that discharge from a other than honorable to a general under honorable. And there's times where I'm like, man, this is rough. This is too hard. Like, why are the things the way they are? Why do people not want to talk? Why do people not talk? And for me, I love talking. I love being able to voice my opinion. I love being able to voice what's been, hurting me, what's going on, my feelings, my thoughts, and who I am as an individual. And again, not everyone is like that. People move at their own pace. And that's one of the biggest things that I've had to deal with, to understand and to grow to accept that some people don't want to share. Some people aren't willing to share, and some people are scared to share because they've been hurt. And in the reality of my life, I've been hurt a lot. I really have. And the biggest reason why I share is because I don't want to let that hurt stay in. I want to ease my hurt. I'm not saying I'm gonna look into the past and be like, "Oh, this is my problem. This is a problem. This is no." Just the things that are going on in my life. I want to be able to share them and just have that, flow out instead of letting it build up or letting it tear me down or weaken me, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And I have let it get to me. And that's why I haven't released as many videos as I wanted to. That's why I haven't been talking to, as much people as I want to. I've been pushing things aside and saying, hey, you know what? I'm just going to lay down and wallow in my misery. And it's rough. It's rough. That's not who I am. That's not the type of person that I am. The type of person that I am, I'm the one that's like I'm motivating, a lot of people that know me, that knew me well, can speak highly and say, you know what, that dude's a motivator. He inspires people. He listens to people. He helps people. And that's what I want to be for, the people around me, and that's what I want to be for the people that I will come to know. And that's hard to do if I'm down and out. I'm not focused on, God. I'm not focused on growing with myself. And right now, I feel like it's a growing season for me. I went from being a Marine recruiter to not being a Marine recruiter. And to be honest with you, the whole time in my head, what I've been hearing from God was, hey, be patient, be patient. And I was doing the same thing over and over and over again, being a Marine recruiter, just wallowing in my misery, not really taking it in and being like, you know what, life is okay. God is good. I am grateful for the things that I have. And I didn't do that. And I turned away. And, that's not the only time that I turned away. And that's just a fault of my nature, a fault of my sin, a fault of, me. But I know that, God forgives. I pray for forgiveness. I pray for discernment. I pray for truth. I pray for, growth in myself, not just for myself, but for God and for the people around me. But I just want to get a lot, all that off my chest. It's been a heck of a, past few months, and I want to be able to grow and, grow with everyone that is, watching this channel, watching these videos, watching the lives, watching and seeing what kind of person I am and what kind of, channel this really is. It's about growth, it's about development in who you are as an individual, whether or not you're, you know, a poor individual when it comes to financial situation, or whether you're rich when it comes to your financial situation. It doesn't matter what background you're from. You could be a struggling addict. It doesn't matter. All it matters is that you grow from where you're at and that you're focusing more on God and you're developing in that character and you're living that life that you're meant to live. And I want to be able to inspire people that way, showing them that, hey, like I'm struggling too. We all struggle and we all get past things if we allow ourselves to grow with God and grow in ourselves. God is with us. This is His home, living with us and developing what we are meant to become. But as always, stay true and stay blessed. Amen.